It was funny when you're like, James Cameron's a bit of a dick. I felt like messaging you back because I forgot to answer you back, and I was going to answer back like, no shit, man. This cunt. Some of the stuff he said previously is just so arrogant, man. When like someone told him he had to trim down the length of the first movie, and he was like, "Get out of my office when this movie makes all the fucking money, and I mean all the money," and it's just like, oh god, that'll do.
What was it? Testosterone is poisonous, and all men should not have testosterone. So.
Dash James Cameron. Up there with the great speeches, you know, like.
I'm sorry that my body secretes a hormone. I'm truly sorry.
Yeah, there's like always like someone like puts like a famous quote up, and then they'll have the dash and the name underneath. It's just like James Cameron, testosterone. Bad, man.
But I mean, did he not make an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Did he? Oh yeah.
Did he not make Aliens, which is full of testosterone-filled soldiers?
Dude, those movies are just pure-blown testosterone.
Exactly.
Without testosterone, I don't know what those movies would be, man. I remember Bill Paxton just being like, "Man, aliens, huh? Fuck the sluts." Didn't really say that, but you know what I mean. Something feminist, something men are pigs, something. So, ALANNIS, you are a big Avatar fan. You like the first movie quite a lot. You're one of the first people that I've met that actually really likes the Avatar franchise as a franchise, not just like looked at it as a one-off movie. Like, I'm sure you've been excited for Avatar Way of the Cash Flow. I mean, Way of the Water.
Yes.
So, on a level of, from a level of 1 to a level of 10, what's your excitement level for the sequel to Avatar?
7 or 8.
What were you more excited for? Wakanda Forever or Avatar 2?
Should probably Avatar, because, I mean, Black Panther movie.
Yeah. Marvel movies, huh? Don't know what's going on with those at the moment, but we thought Marvel were the ones that had all their shit together, and DC were the ones that didn't. Of course, DC still don't have their shit together, but Marvel are kind of in the same boat as DC at the moment, with them back putting Phase 4 on hold and shit, eh?
I think that's a stupid move by Whingers. That, yeah, there's a lot I can say about that, and I think it's pandering to dickholes.
Dickholes, man.
Yeah.
Dickholes. What an orifice, huh?
They're the best.
Dickholes all the way. That'd be sick, having a football team called the Dickholes or something.
And they could like play
the Cowboys versus the Dickholes. It's the Na'vi versus the Dickholes. Hello everyone, welcome back to Ranked and Reviewed. I am your host, TOMYE West, and joining me as always is my co-host, ALANNIS MAXIMUS.
I'm just fucking with you. Hello.
Glad you said something, man. I'm glad you said something. This is a podcast, not a silent cast. Remember what I'm saying? So,
yeah. I've been working on my mime impression for nothing.
When did you get stuck in the computer, ALANNIS? Your mime impression is just so fucking good. So it's an exciting week. The Na'vi are back, ALANNIS.
Yes.
We just watched Avatar. Rewatched it. Now, how long has it been exactly, ALANNIS, since the last Avatar movie? Let's have a look.
2009.
Let's have a look. Avatar came out in 2009. and we can have a look at what date it actually came out, right? So it came out December 17th, 2009. So this sequel is basically coming out to the date. What is it? 2010. So 11, 12, 13, 14 years? That's a long ass time to wait for a sequel. That's all I'm going to fucking say. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I have high hopes for the sequel, but I have the same feeling that the majority of people have, which I've seen in the comment section of like when they're advertising this movie, and this is 10 years too late. You know, I don't know if this sequel is going to beat the projections that they're hoping with the money and the profit. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I think if anyone can do it, James Cameron can. I don't know if he will, but he is the master of the sequel. So, and I mean, there's a lot of oddly fanatical people about this movie. Like there was people killing themselves over this movie. If they're still around and still as fanatical, then maybe.
They killed themselves, man. Or they tried
because,
to. Like,
do you know what they should have done though? While they were killing themselves because Pandora is an untangible dream, they should have listened to our podcast.
They should have. Man, I don't understand that whole argument of like, if you want to live on Pandora, you can't, so I'm just going to kill myself. Because, like, man, there are plenty of places on actual planet Earth that I can't live, that I want to live. But I'm not over here killing myself, you know what I mean? Let alone kill yourself over a fictional place. You know?
And also living there. Man, there are places like Uber Australia. Everything wants you dead. Why the fuck would you want to live there?
Not the little lemur things that are swinging through the fucking trees or whatever,
Yeah.
man.
Well, the weird deer things with the, I don't know what the fuck they are.
Yeah. The deer, the Darby.
Davy. I wonder what they taste like.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. What are these like people like? Is Navi like chicken, or is Navi like human?
Yeah. Well, you could try to not be a cannibal as well.
Namable? I don't know, man.
Namable.
So let's get into our IMDb overview of Avatar. Avatar released 2009 with a rating of, Alanis, can you guess it?
It's that fucking, I can't remember, but it's that one that we didn't know what it was, isn't it?
Come on, man. Think hard. 12A. 12A. With a rating of 12A. With a runtime of 2 hours and 42 minutes. An IMDb rating of 7.8 out of 10. And that's around 1.3 million votes. With a synopsis that goes like this. A paraplegic Marine dispatched to the moon Pandora on a unique mission becomes torn between following his orders and protecting the world he feels is his home. Now, this is directed by James Cameron and is written by James Cameron. And this stars Sam Worthington, Sigourney Weaver, Zoe Saldana, Michelle Rodriguez, Giovanni Ribisi, Stephen Lang, and a bunch more. Now, this had a budget of $237 million, and that's an estimated budget, with an opening weekend of $77 million, and it grossed US and Canada alone $785.2 million, with a gross worldwide of $2.9 billion. Now, before we get into our thoughts on the original, I'm going to quickly talk to you about the projected opening weekend for Avatar 2 and what your thought is of this. Do you believe that what the projections are saying? Have you seen it?
Actually, now that you mention it, I didn't know that this first movie made what this movie is aiming for to break even.
That's what I'm saying, man. Is that first of all, they're already saying that on opening weekend, this movie is going to make $200 million. Now, I don't know what world they're living on because the first one made on its opening weekend $77 million. So it has to make over one more of that. And Then they have to make $2 billion to break even on this movie. And this movie, the first one, has only kind of just surpassed $2 billion. And that's including Blu-ray release, DVD release, re-release, streaming service money. Like, that's like total gross over 14 years. And they've already got multiple sequels projected for Avatar. What? Okay, I get that we might get Avatar 3 because what we've heard is that they finished filming Avatar 3 already. And they've shot them back to back. We know they haven't started Avatar 4. I think post-production may have started on Avatar 4. Avatar 5 and 6, the scripts are being written. Now,
is it going to be 6 now?
I think so, yeah. Let me have a look.
I heard 5, but 6, Jesus Christ.
No, there's apparently 6, man. I'm going to have a look. I'm going to double check so I can be sure. Because I know that people are going to, that you said there are diehards of this movie. I'm going to think, oh, going to be like, no, there's fucking 5. Avatar. Okay. So, how many? So, let's have a look. Okay, so James Cameron reveals he has plans for Avatar 6 and 7.
James Cameron, shut up.
Officially, Walt Disney Pictures has announced 4 Avatar sequels. Avatar The Way of the Water, Avatar 3, Avatar 4, and Avatar 5. Avatar 2 is due out this year. Avatar 3 is out December 2024. Avatar 4 is out December 2026. And Avatar 5 is out December 2028. And then James Cameron reveals he has plans for Avatar 6 and 7 and more.
I don't think James Cameron is going to be alive by the time 6 and 7 come out. Isn't he in his 70s?
Dude, I don't understand where half these people have been while making this movie. Like, I get, like, this is, like, a big-time movie and they needed to be on set and they've signed on for this shit. Like, but, dude, Sam Worthington has not, I don't think, made any movies since Avatar.
I did the Clash of the Titans movies. Which...
Oh, that's right. They were not good movies. But has Sigourney Weaver done anything since then?
Yes.
What?
Yes. She's been in a few things. Series, and she was in the Defender series. She's been in a few movies. She's in Cabin in the Woods and a bunch of other things I haven't watched.
Now, there's something that me and you also need to quickly talk about. And it's what we were talking about on the phone. On when we were messaging each other, which is that this movie does not hold up in the CG department in a lot of areas, and I'm confused as to why we got it re-released into cinemas and back onto streaming services after being taken off streaming services in the state that it's in. But you said there is a remaster coming, but it's coming to the Blu-ray of Way of the Water, so like a double feature, but it's not out yet. And now, I know you were saying, like, you think it makes sense from a cash standpoint and all this, but in all honesty, man, this is just a stupid idea. Like, I don't get why, if you're going to have Avatar 2 come out, like, you're going to want to watch the best version of the first movie before you go see the second movie. You're not going to want to wait till the second movie's already out, buy the DVD, rewatch the first one when you've just rewatched it. Like, there's so many hurdles that I don't understand.
The cinema version was the remaster, though. The last cinema run.
So what? Man, it makes no sense to not release that already as its own thing. Because, like, then how much can you charge for a double pack of Blu-ray now? You surely
I don't think it'd be a double pack, though. I think it's 2 separate movies.
So that's what I mean, man. This is Kashata. Like, dude, they are just trying to make as much money out of that first movie as possible by doing this. Like, they re-released it. That's the perfect time to do a remaster. Why are you waiting again? You know what I mean? Like, it's been 14 years, and you haven't had the chance to remaster the movie before you re-released it into cinemas for the sequel. Like, I don't know, man. That really fucking bites me. I just feel like that's them going, well, we can milk it for more. How are we going to milk it for more? You know what I mean?
That's precisely what it is.
So,
well, I think it's had in far as cinema runs now go, it would have had 4 because it had the original, then it had the special edition. Then I'm pretty sure just after Endgame, so that it could knock Endgame off the top of the highest grossing movie ever. And I think maybe America, it had another cinema run. Then it had the HD remaster cinema run in September this year. Man.
Dude, like, think about every other movie that's been made in history that has a sequel, yeah? Do you know of any other movies that have already got projected movies after the sequel releasing, like dates and shit and plans for it after a sequel that hasn't even been in the cinema yet? Like, dude, I've said to you before, what if Avatar was lightning in a bottle? What if Avatar 2 doesn't make people care anymore? What if they've approved all these sequels and all these 14 years of work and this movie doesn't meet expectations? Like, I just feel like this is so unfair to other filmmakers that have made a sequel to a movie and have been like, but I want to make more than 3 or whatever, and they've gone, well, let's see how the sequel goes. You know what I mean? Like, I just think it's such a strange decision to like wait 14 years for a sequel and then bank all this money into follow-ups when we haven't even gotten the intended follow-up yet. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you feel about all that?
I think it is a very strange decision. I get the feeling James Cameron's probably throwing a lot of money at it himself. I think it'll have to be. But yeah. I don't understand, like, a trilogy, yeah, but how far can you go with a bunch of blue people on a planet and the same humans coming back to try and kill them? Like, that's not 4 movies worth of story. Like, what else are we going to see here that's going to be able to carry that on? That's not just going to make us go, same.
Apart from the amazing visuals that the first one had when it first released, what can you say is really powerful about this story that hasn't been done in other movies before?
This story-wise, it is just Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas
and Ferngully.
It's I think it is the visuals that really attracted me to kind of the world that's created there.
And that's my problem. And that's my problem with not having the remaster now, is that this movie is about how good it looks. And to not have the remaster out on like your streaming platform, like your Disney, like, and I don't know, man, it just seems counterproductive to me with what the movie is supposed to kind of be. Like, you know, like it's supposed to be a visual masterpiece, yet they re-released it into theaters looking great, but no one else has the opportunity. And dude, how short was that cinema run? Me and you tried to go, didn't we? Or was that Spider-Man? No, that was Spider-Man. Did we even get a proper like run of it here in Australia?
I think we did. I don't think it went to IMAX. I'm pretty sure it went to other cinemas though.
It's weird, man. Very weird. I mean, I know this is supposed to be a review of the original movie, but we can't talk about this original movie without having these conversations about the follow-ups and what we can expect and how long it's been and is it going to hold up, and all these things are important to why we're reviewing Avatar 14 years later. You know what I mean? So with that sort of out the way, we can discuss more of that as we go on. Let's discuss our thoughts on the actual movie itself. Now, ALANNIS, I know we've talked a little bit about it. You said the plot, you know, it's pretty much been done, the visuals and stuff. But let's talk how we would usually talk about a movie. So give me your thoughts on Avatar.
I think it is, as you said, it isn't held up that well. I think even looking back on it, I always thought it at the time as well. Some of the dialogue is a bit cringy as well. Some of the monologues and some of the, I think mostly from fuck, what's his name? Sam Worthington, Jake. Some of the things he has to say I just don't feel. It just feels tacky. Like it feels forced, and it kind of, I don't know, I don't like it. It just makes me go. I think there's some moments in the acting as well, especially between Jake and Neytiri, that's just, it's not great acting, and it's some of it just, you're like, what's happening here? Like, there's one point, I think you're actually nearly at it, I think, where they're flying away from the big flappy thing, and they almost die in the tree, and one of them laughs, and the other one goes, there's a lot of moments like that. I think, to me, a lot of it was the 3D visuals was a big thing, as well as the world it created. And as far as actors go, I think the guy who really steals the show is the main bad guy, Quaritch. He's just good. Like,
he's the guy that gets in the big machine, yeah, and fights.
Yeah. And just is some of his scenes, like the whole hard ass mask on. He just walks out, starts shooting at the thing, and he was the only one, I think, that did a really solid acting job that didn't feel cheesy at times. But I think there is a lot of little things that, well, maybe they didn't age well, like little touches like Jake's legs, like pretty convincingly look all skinny, and I'm pretty sure they're actually a practical effect, not CG. But a lot of little touches I like that about it as well.
Now, you said something really important in your thoughts, which was that the 3D visuals and the world that created is what made this movie so fantastic. Now, that's why I feel that watching this movie without 3D sort of makes this movie irrelevant.
Yes and no. Like, it to me, it still has the aesthetic. Like, it still looks like a very interesting kind of an alien world, but just not quite as good.
It's just a problem that half the shots in this movie were designed around the idea of it being 3D, which makes watching it on something that's not 3D a lot more tacky. So, like, for instance, when the movie opens and Sam Worthington is in the cryogenic sort of thing, and there's that, like, the bubbles, like, in the air, and it, like, focuses on the bubble, like, and the bubble's, like, up here. And you can tell that was done like that for the 3D effect. And it's like those big plants that come out of the ground, and he touches them and they disappear into the ground and shit like that. They all look fake as fuck now and don't look good, but they would look real and not as fake if you had the stereoscopic 3D glasses on and were able to watch it stereoscopically still, you know what I mean? And some people still have that opportunity if they have a stereoscopic 3D television. And
still make 3D TVs? Can I buy a 3D TV?
Now, I've looked into this, and you can't buy a cheap 3D TV anymore. Like, you can't even buy a good 3D TV for like $2,000. I think you need to buy like a $5,000 to $6,000 TV that has like the 4K, the HDR, variable refresh rate. It's like 85 inches, OLED screen. Then it has the 3D option as well, where, like, I think they only include it sort of in like big purchase TVs. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not sure on that, but I remember the last time I looked it up, that was the only way you could get 3D compatible TVs now, was buying the biggest, most expensive TVs on the market. I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know if you can even still buy a 3D television, but what are your thoughts on this maybe being another Kickstarter for 3D again? Because what did people say about 3D when Avatar first came out? Around once every decade to 15 years, 3D becomes a thing again. In the 80s, it was Jason, Friday the 13th in 3D. It was Jaws 3D. We didn't get anything in the 90s really that much in 3D. We had sort of, you know, a few things here and there, 3D, like comic books and like sort of novelty things, you know. But then in the 2000s, we got the stereoscopic 3D movement. And that's gone away completely. It died in the ass as a fad. What do you think now that we've had this much time in between it being a thing and not a thing, of it actually coming back and being a thing now?
I reckon it might a little bit, hopefully, but I think the next big push, and they're working on the technology, is glassesless 3D. But I think we're a way off that. I don't think we're anywhere near that yet.
Well, we could be more closer than you think, because remember, we had the Nintendo 3DS, glassless 3D. It looked pretty good for 2013 when that console was released. You know what I mean? I think that we're closer to it than you think. It's the problem of it is we've probably got the capability and the technology to do so, but the technology and the capability has not been transferred into the cinema experience yet. So cinemas have not adopted screens and projectors that allow for 3D glassless viewing. You know what I mean? That's probably why we're still going to be asked to wear glasses, because those projectors are already capable of doing the 3D that it is intending to be done. But the thing about that is that James Cameron has said that people are going to be shocked at how good this looks, even wearing glasses with 3D now, because 3D has come a long way since 2009 when Avatar made 3D mainstream thing. He said that no more blurriness, no more if you turn your head the wrong way, it's going to be sort of like, you know, fuzzy. He said there's going to be no more headaches. There's going to be no more people taking them off because they feel sick in the stomach. There's going to be none of that anymore, because the problem with that was that the frame rate and the resolution wasn't there yet to keep that concern out of the technology. Now, with the 4K, the variable refresh rate, the HDR, dynamic range, with the more quicker frame rate, with all this stuff, that makes the 3D apparently like on another level. So James Cameron has promised that the technology in 3D has come a lot further than we think, and that we're going to be blown away, and that people are going to want to see this in 3D. And he's also stated that if you don't see this in 3D or at IMAX, then you're not actually seeing the movie the way it should be seen. So I'm hoping, man, that with 3D coming on Avatar, and hoping Avatar is the success that they're hoping it to be, making $2 billion just to break even. I mean, if that's the case, there's a very high possibility that if enough people see it in 3D IMAX or 3D, that it could become something again. And I don't necessarily think you're going to need to see this in IMAX 3D to enjoy it, but I do think you will need to see it in 3D somewhere on at least a decent sized screen to get that original feeling that Avatar had when you watched it the first time in the cinema, where the whole cinema felt like it was Pandora, because the 3D extended almost behind you, where it obviously didn't, but it looked like it did. You know, like the leaves were out here, the plants are out here, the 3D was so well leveled, like it was like layers. You know what I mean? Like there was the out layer, the middle layer, the foreground, background. Everything was so in tune, and there was not a 3D movie like that, or hasn't been like that since, because most 3D movies were converted afterwards. Not a lot of them actually use the 3D IMAX cameras because of how expensive it is to use those and how big they are. I mean, when you watch Jackass 3D, the making of that, they were using those cameras, and they just said it was so hard because of how big those cameras are, and like they needed like the big cranes and shit to hold these cameras up. Yeah. So I'm sure that now 3D cameras aren't as big as they once were. I'm sure that they've got a lot more wiggle room with how it's filmed and how it's shot and things like that. So I'm really excited to see what we've all been waiting for with this movie, and that's the technology leap with that. I think that if it wasn't for the 3D IMAX technology, like, or sort of thing that it's going to have to it, I don't think I'd be excited for the movie. I am really excited to see Avatar Way of the Water, and I don't care about Avatar at all. I couldn't give two shits. But the reason I'm excited, the 3D, the visuals, and the experience that it's going to provide. And I believe that with the water, with it being not set in the sort of the same Pandora setting that we got originally, that it is going to be something wild and different. And the water scenes are going to be unlike anything we've ever seen before, and it's going to break sort of technology bound by doing what it's going to do. How do you feel about that?
I agree. I think it's going to, yeah. Yes.
And I feel as if he can improve the story in this sequel, improve the visuals, improve the sort of problems that he might have not been able to solve in the first one, which is a lot of the green screen problems that I was talking about with you, which is like where you can kind of see everything being what things are practical, what things aren't. I think he wants it. I think he wanted it more seamless with what's practical and what isn't in the first movie, but he could only get it to a certain point of that being the case at that time. And I feel like if he can improve on that and make it way more seamless, which by the looks of the trailer and everything, he's done, and makes the story more engaging, original, and smart, and the dialogue a lot more fun, I think that he definitely could make a better movie than the original movie. Whether the hype's there for it or not, that's something completely different. I'm just talking about the quality of the picture itself, where I didn't think anything was special about the first one except the technology. And I'm hoping that he can make it be like, well, the new one has the technology, but also has the movie. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But yeah, my main problems with this movie is just the plot being subpar. There was some questionable CG that I thought it could have been done a lot better, even in that sort of 14 years ago, which is what I told you about. When they get off that helicopter at the start, the big, cargo carrier, and they're all coming off, and those people are outside wearing the fucking breathing mask devices, and their faces looked all fucking weird. Like, I was like, what is going on here? Like, I don't remember this movie looking this fucking shit. You know what I mean? So, and it's even like when he was like in that machine doing the punching, and the machine behind him or whatever was doing the punching too and stuff. And the way the machines like moved and stuff, you're like, wow, this looks really fucking CG. You know what I mean? Like, and since that movie has come out, everyone's got to remember, CG was a big present thing in 2009, but it was not like it is nowadays, where we've seen more impressive CG than the original Avatar movie. And I think that because of that, the new one needs to really step up the CG. There needs to be literally nothing you can look at and go, oh, you know what I mean? To make this movie be as hyped or for what people expect from this movie, there can't be one part where you go, ooh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's no good reason for a movie to take 14 years to still have parts where you're like, I don't know, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I think that if you didn't see this movie in 3D, if you didn't see it on a big screen, and you've only got the option to watch the first one the way it is, 2D on Disney Plus or whatever, I'd say if you care and you haven't seen it, watch it and then go see the sequel, I guess. If you don't care to see the sequel when it comes out, or the 3D element and stuff, wait for the remaster and then watch the sequel, because I think that if you haven't seen this first one and kind of expect what it is supposed to expect what it looks like, I think you're going to expect it to look better than it does, and you're going to be like, I don't get the why the hype was there for this movie. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, 3D all the way. They should have. Quick side story about 3D. Do you remember the 3D release of this? I don't know if you were up with it then, because I got 3D TVs I got my 3D TV when they were really expensive and new.
Yeah, I got the 3D release. I think I actually even pre-ordered it.
The TV.
No, the 3D release of this.
So you had a 3D TV.
Yeah.
Like what, first year?
First
year, release of 3D TVs. Because you got to remember, Avatar came out. 3D TVs did not come out till after Avatar came out. Yeah, it was around the same time. It was in that period between the movie not being on at cinemas anymore and releasing onto Blu-ray and DVD, sort of thing. You know, that's when TVs came along. Yeah, because
it would have been the same year Assassin's Creed 3 came out, because I got that with my 3D TV.
Is Assassin's Creed 2 or 3? Because Assassin's Creed 2 had the 3D option.
Assassin's Creed 3 is when I got my 3D TV.
Really? So, okay. Because, okay, the only reason I know the timeline of 3D television so much is because of the Avatar movie itself, yeah? Like, 3D did not become a thing till after Avatar came out. And then, when 3D... I'm surprised you were able to pre-order the 3D Blu-ray, man, because this is what I remember, yeah? I went to JB Hi-Fi. I went to Harvey Norman. I went to every single place on Boxing Day. Would have been probably 2000... It couldn't have been Boxing Day 2009 because... That's when this movie was out at cinemas, Avatar. So it must have been Boxing Day 2010. That sounds wrong though, man. It sounds like I got it on Boxing Day. On Boxing Day sales, yeah. I went to Knox and got my TV. But it sounds like 3D must have come out 2009, 3D televisions, because no, I can't work this out now because, okay, the reason I'm saying this is that I wanted that 3D Avatar movie. I wanted it on Blu-ray, the 3D version. But it was exclusive to a certain 3D TV brand. And I believe it was either Samsung or Panasonic. They had the rights to the 3D Blu-ray of Avatar, and you could only get it by purchasing that 3D television. So I don't understand how you were able to pre-order it unless you got a copy from someone that was selling their copy that came with the TV originally. You know what I mean?
Mine would have been, actually, now I think about it, the special edition in 3D.
That sounds more like it. Okay, so let's have a look. Hold on, I'm going to have a look at this, right? So I'm going to look when 3D TVs came out, yeah? Though 3D movies were generally well received by the public, 3D television did not become popular until after the CES 2010 trade show, when major manufacturers began selling a full lineup of 3D televisions following the success of Avatar. Shortly thereafter, it said, according to Display Search, 3D television shipments totaled 41.45 million units in 2012, compared with 24.14 in 2011 and 2.26 in 2010. In late 2013, the number of 3D TV viewers started to decline, and in 2016, development of 3D TV is limited to a few premium models, which is what we were talking about before. Production of 3D TVs ended in 2016. Now, the reason... So I must have gotten it in 2010 because they released the 3D Blu-ray in 2010 and I couldn't get it because I did not buy the brand that it was exclusive to, because the brand, I'm pretty sure it was Samsung or Panasonic, that had an exclusivity deal, and it was no TV that I could afford. Like, I wanted a 3D TV, but I still couldn't afford the best of the best 3D TV. So I got the LG. I got an LG 3D television, and it was like $1,900, $2,100. The 3D TV for Avatar was like $3,300, $3,400. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to find if it can tell us here. I'm going to have a look. Avatar 3D Blu-ray exclusivity. Panasonic. It was a Panasonic 3D Blu-ray. So this is from 1st of December, 2010. Panasonic officially launches exclusive Avatar Blu-ray 3D pack. And this is from December 1st, 2010. So I'm correct. It came with Panasonic 3D capable TV. Trying to find if it has like a certain size that it had. No, I think it was just any Panasonic 3D Viera, and it came with Avatar and Blu-ray 3D, 2 pairs of Panasonic rechargeable 3D eyewear, and a Panasonic Blu-ray 100 BDT 100 Blu-ray disc player. So that's weird, man. That I got 3D TV early, 3D TV so early on. You know what I mean? Like, as it said, it didn't become a thing before 2010 at the CES thing. And then that December, Avatar was released. as a Panasonic exclusive, and I was around that time where I got my 3D TV that Boxing Day. You know what I mean? So 25 days after the launch of Avatar on 3D Blu-ray, I got my television. And I had to get Monster House, the 3D kids movie. And you know what? I watched the shit out of that because it looked awesome in 3D. So did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Looked really good on 3D televisions. Am I wrong here? Do you think, except for maybe Avatar, which kind of fine-tuned its picture to suit cinemas really well, do you think the 3D TVs looked better than 3D at the cinemas?
I do think so, yeah.
I thought so too. Because I thought HD 3D on TV at home just looked incredible, man. Especially some movies. You know, Jackass 3D was so fun to watch at home. Don't know if you remember, you couldn't get Jackass 3D in 3D.
Oh, I did not know that.
You could, but it was the blue and the red glasses.
What?
So to get it, you had to pirate it, the 3D one, and someone had made their own stereoscopic 3D version of Jackass, like literally gotten the movie, put it next to each other, and made two files, like a file with two of the same image, and boom, it worked. And it was like, dude, do you remember how big 3D movies were to download?
Yeah.
I remember Jackass being 12.5 gig to download, bro. If you had a 3D TV and you wanted to download 3D movies and you had a capped internet thing, dude, I was downloading 3D movies at like 75 gig. I'm pretty sure I was like capped at 200 gig at that time. So you download one 3D movie and that's a fucking entire half of your fucking month starter. So, with that, what score would you give Avatar after rewatching it? Out of 5.
I'll still probably give it a 4.5. It sets out to do what it does well, I think. I don't think I enjoyed it any less if I discount how it's aged.
I'm just laughing because we just talked about how the visuals are still pretty rough and the story isn't that good, and then you're like 4.5.
I think I highlighted the bad things more than the good, but I still enjoy it. It's not perfect, so yeah, probably 4. Yeah, overall, I still don't mind watching it.
Dude, I gotta say, as much as I'm sitting here sort of being like not the bad guy in the situation, because I haven't really said anything about this movie that I don't think is fair. I think what I've said is fair, don't you?
I agree, yeah.
I haven't shit-canned the movie. I didn't think it's a bad movie. I just don't think the graphics have held up as much as I thought. I remembered that they look like, I thought they looked better than they did. It's like when you go back and play Nintendo 64 and you haven't played it in like 20 years and you're like, this is what I thought looked good? You know what I mean? Like, why is Mario's fucking head square? You know what I mean? Like, why is the polygons in this all pointy? You know, like, so like, it's that sort of memory where you have that like nostalgic memory of how good the movie looked, and then you rewatch it now and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So like, dude, I never thought this movie was great from a storytelling perspective. I always thought it was great visually, and I always thought it was stunning and beautiful. And nowadays, without seeing the remaster and how good that looks and how much work they put into that, and having to watch the original version, and the story not being that good, and not watching it with 3D when I wanted to watch 3D, and I'm still sitting here, like, when I had to rewatch it today, I was like, I just want to watch it in 3D. You know what I mean? Like, because, as I said, there's all these parts that are specifically filmed on an angle or whatever, or something coming out of the screen towards you, and without the 3D, it just feels tacky. And I can't, in all right, give this a high score, as high a score as I probably would have given it back when it first released. So, I mean, back when this first released, just simply on visuals and experience and how the movie made you feel by watching it and seeing how beautiful it looked. Like, it literally does release a chemical in, like, your endorphins or dopamine into your body when you're like surrounded in the cinema by this beautiful stuff, and like it really is an experience of you going wow, like, and without that wow experience at home, no 3D, sort of the graphics being subpar to what we remember and things. I mean, I don't think this movie is great anymore. You know what I mean? I think it was once great, but I think it was like King Kong from the 1930s. Maybe not as bad, like, you know, but it's an example of like how that movie was fucking on another level when it came out, and now you watch it and it's like laughable. You know what I mean? And Avatar's not quite laughable, but it's not quite as amazing as it once was. You know what I mean? So, but from what I've seen with this second one, the trailer and everything, like, dude, I watched the trailer. Like, I remember I sent it to you, like when it had dropped. I watched it like 2 to 3 minutes after it actually dropped online, and I was like, whoa, you know, like this looks insane. And I was like, I can't wait to see this in 3D. You know what I mean? So I know that the new one's going to do that. I'm just hoping that every frame of this movie has to be perfect for the amount of time we've waited, the amount of money it's costed, and the amount of effort they've put in. If every frame of this movie isn't perfect, and I'm talking every single frame, then that's a score from me gone. You know what I mean? Like I will demerit this movie that we're gonna watch a point, or maybe I'll work out like 10 demerits from this movie equals a full point taken away from the movie, or something like that. You know what I mean? If I notice 10 things, I'm gonna be like, that's a point away. That's a point away. That's a point away. That's a point away. Until it gets to 0. Because I'm telling you right now, if I get to the end of that sequel and I'm like, it's a 0 from me, because there's that many things I could point out that I thought were terrible, like, then I'm going to be like, this was not worth the wait. I think this is a fun movie to talk about, because we got the sequel coming. We don't know what to expect. We've got more sequels coming. We don't know what to expect. We waited 14 years for this. Like, there's so much intrigue around the sequels and what these are going to be, and how well this is going to go, and how much money this is going to make, and if it's going to bring 3D back, and how well it's going to go in 3D movies. There's so much to talk about that we could keep talking about this for probably over an hour. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think there has been a movie that's as interesting to talk about like this in a very long time. Just because of the expectations set, the amount of years we've waited, and the hype. Like, there was so much hype around Avatar 2, like, and every time it got delayed, like, what was the original year we were supposed to get this movie? Like 2015?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I mean. We've been let down since 2015, like, so 7 years. And it's just like, we're waiting still, James Cameron. Like, you arrogant dickhead, hurry up. Like, you know? So with that, before we head out, as we don't usually on Ranked and Reviewed, for all of you who are tuning in for the first time, on Ranked and Reviewed once a week, me and ALANNIS get together and rank movies against each other in the same franchise. So, for instance, right now we are doing the Spider-Man movies, where we have so far done Spider-Man 1 from 2002, Spider-Man 2 from 2004, and we're about to do Spider-Man 3 after Avatar 2 Way of the Water is done. We are going to get back to our Spider-Man 3. And we rank and review these movies. So we give them a review and talk about our thoughts and rank them at the end compared to each other in the franchise. And every time we start a franchise, this being the first movie, obviously we have nothing to rank it against yet. So we simply give it a score, and which is what we've just done. We've given it a score. ALANNIS gives it a 4. Yeah?
Yeah, we'll put it at that.
And I give it... I don't think I gave it a... Did I give it a score?
I don't think you did yet, no.
Okay, well, I'll give my score, man. Simply because I can't give it the same score it would have gotten back in the day, and I don't think that it has held up as well, and my King Kong example and all that. I'm going to give it a 2.5. And it's not that it's a bad movie. It's not that that's what it was always going to be scored by me. As I said, I reviewed this back in 2009. The first time I saw it, I probably would have given it a 4 out of 5 just because it would have been that experience, you know. But now, watching it without that 3D experience, without the cinema experience, with it 2D, with the tacky sort of 3D filming and stuff like that, I can't call this a good viewing experience for someone who hasn't seen it before. You know what I mean? So that's why I come at a 2.5. And I just know that Avatar 2 is already going to be better than this. It can't not be. Because just simply because of the experience of seeing it in IMAX 3D is going to make that more enjoyable for me than having to sit it on my home television and watch it again 14 years after with the same sort of graphics. You know what I mean? So I'm going to enjoy the second one. I can already tell you now that my ranking's probably going to be this one second, new one first. You know what I mean? So, but we will see next week, I guess, you know? So before we get out of here, ALANNIS.
Oh yeah, my dream. We should let the people know about it as well. It's got to be better than that dream I told you about earlier on today.
What was your dream?
I had a dream last night that we went to IMAX, and instead of like the cinema was about a VMAX size screen, so a big screen, but it was flat ground. We were on plastic garden chairs. It wasn't Avatar. It was some whack-ass werewolf movie called Avatar, and for some reason it was like YouTube and kept playing ads every 5 minutes.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. I was listening to you, right? But at the same time, I was just looking up the IMDb page for Avatar: The Way of the Water. Now, a few little concerns here. Number one, what do you think it's rated?
12A.
You're correct. Another concern. What's the runtime on it?
It's 3 hours and 12 minutes or something like that, isn't it?
3 hours and 12 minutes exactly. Now, tell me, ALANNIS, what is wrong with this plot summary? You ready? Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the planet of Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with the Nayatiri and the army of the Na'vi race to protect their planet. Now, ALANNIS, what is the problem with this plot?
It's about the same as the first movie.
It is the same plot from the first movie. So, I can only assume, from everything we've just heard, James Cameron has someone's family tied up in a basement or has some photos of someone doing something bad, and he's using it to bribe them to make these movies, because who the fuck walks into 20th Century Fox / Disney and be like, okay, I'm going to make a movie called Avatar. This is the plot. 3D. It's going to cost this much money. It's going to be a success. And they're like, no worries. And then he walks in and he goes, yo, guys, I'm going to make Avatar 2. This is the plot. This is how long it's going to take. This is what I need from you guys. This is how much we're going to need to make to break even. And by the way, I got another 5 movies coming after that. Dude, what is going on here? Like, James Cameron has to have someone's family kidnapped. I refuse to believe that any studio head would be like, so what's the plot? And he's like, okay, so in the first one, the humans came to steal this rock that was worth a lot of money. And they were going to destroy the Na'vi's home, and the Na'vi fought back, and yeah, that's the plot. Okay, cool. So, yep, the second plot. Okay, so, hear me out. The humans come back, and they want to wipe the Na'vi out, and the Na'vi have to fight for their planet again. And the guy's like, right, let me sign you a fucking check right now. Like, what the fuck, man? I would have gone, so you want to make the same movie that you just made then? And he's like, yep. I would have gone, James Cameron, get the fuck out of my office. Like, straight up, man. Like, it's the same plot. And now, another problem. What was the box office budget of this, ALANNIS? What? How much was the budget? Do you know?
This movie?
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let me fill you in with this goodie. $350 million.
I want $350 million.
Can I just re-elaborate what I just said? Whose family does James Cameron have in his basement? Saying, if I don't get to make my Avatar sequels, you ain't ever going home, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like, you're lucky Avatar 2 has been approved. And listen, we've already shot Avatar 3, so they have no fucking excuse. And you know what? If we don't get Avatar 4, 5, 6, 7, you'll never see your home again. Just like the Na'vi. Dude, there's something fishy going on with this. I don't know, man. Like, it's the same plot. It's exactly what. Dude, I cannot wait for the plot of the third one to come out.
Yeah, what's it going to be?
Guys, here's the plot for Avatar 3. The Na'vi are threatened.
An old enemy are coming back.
And this time, Sam Worthington, it's like what James Cameron did with the Terminator. He's like turn Arnold Schwarzenegger into the good Terminator, and that's what he does with Sam Worthington's character with this. Fucking makes him like the bad guy. He's just like, I'll be back to fuck the Na'vi up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's an interesting question. Is Stephen Lang in the second movie?
Stephen Lang. I'm gonna have a look for you. Yes.
How?
Dude, everyone's back. Everyone. Sam Worthington.
How's Sigourney Weaver back?
Stephen Lang. Kate Winslet. What?
Is Michelle Rodriguez back?
Michelle Rodriguez.
I'm guessing no.
No. Okay, so wait, 1 second. I'm going to quickly read you. Okay, we usually don't do this for future movies, but we have to do this. This is some trivia for the new movie. According to James Cameron, the Avatar sequels were such a massive undertaking that he divided the 4 scripts between the writing teams. Cameron delves further, explaining the story process. I think we met for 7 months and we whiteboarded out every scene in every film together. And I didn't assign each writer which film they were going to work on until the last day. I knew if I assigned them their scripts ahead of time, they'd tune out every time we were talking about the other movie. And then he wrote, James Cameron seriously considered shooting the entirety of the Avatar sequels in a higher frame rate by stating, the 3D shows you a window into reality. A higher frame rate takes the glass out of the window. The industry standard is 24 FPS, and a higher frame rates are at least 48 FPS, 60 FPS, or 120 FPS. He later opted out of this route, stating in an interview that as groundbreaking as the format is for cinema, moviegoers always have been used to a specific way to view films, and altering that in a way would take the audience out of that experience. Instead, only certain scenes will utilize high fidelity mode. So, we've been lied to again. We were told that this movie much better, 3D, higher frame rate, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, but we can't use it because it looks too weird on cinema screens. Whose family have you got? The Avatar sequels will cost collectively over $1 billion. Kate Winslet broke Tom Cruise's underwater filming record for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation of 6 minutes with a record of 7 minutes and 14 seconds. And I'm going to share my screen with you, dude, because I was laughing just before and I didn't bring up why I was laughing. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring it up. And then we'll get the fuck out of here. All right. Share screen. Now this is what made me laugh. Look at the sequels.
They're the exact same logo.
Like, wait. Oh, there's no more. Dude, let's quickly go in to Avatar 3 and see if there's any word on what this is going to be about. The plot is unknown. And it can tell you already who's in it.
The same people.
Dude. This is fucking funny as, man. Like, hilarious. I can't wait to see it, but yeah, man, that's fucking hilarious, dude. Is that, like, when I said to you what problems can you hear when I read these things out, and you were able to point out exactly everything I was thinking about. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. If it's anything like James Cameron saying he was returning to Terminator as the main producer for Dark Fate, then I have some high worries, my friend. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our Avatar review. It was not as... I liked this episode. You know why? Because it was more of a discussion on the franchise, the attempting sequels, the length of in between the movie, the release of the first one, along with our thoughts of it. I think we covered a lot of bases today, and I think it was important that we did that because this is the sort of movie that needs that sort of discussion around it. How do you feel about that?
I feel goodly.
Good. So, with that, we're going to get out of here, and we will see you on Thursday at 2 o'clock in the morning, roughly, with our Avatar Way of the Water review, as we are seeing it on Wednesday at 9:50 at night, is it?
Yeah.
At IMAX 3D.
And then in 10 years' time, we will release it remastered. But it won't actually be a remaster. It'll be a whole new movie just with the same story.
As I said, the next one will just have, it'll just be called, just $3 signs. Way of the Bitcoin.
Revenge of the Bank.
Ben Affleck is fucking Navi.
I still see you, Ben Affleck.
He's just like, do you bleed? Because you will. All right, guys. I am your host, as always, TOMYE West. And joining me, as always, has been my co-host and Navi supporter, ALANNIS Maximus. And we will see you for our Avatar 2, our Way of the Water review on Thursday. Peace!